Hey, Yetta, do we really have time to connect with God in this turbocharged real estate season?
It's more important than ever.
Moving forward with the Dekker team. Moving forward together with the Dekker team.
We are honored to welcome you to another episode. I'm Yetta Dekker.
And I'm Ken Dekker.
And it's Life's Inside Track, where we get to share techniques, thoughts, tips, tools, and tactics that we all need, we all deserve, you, I, everyone, so we can turn our house into home, our families thrive, and we live our best life possible. We're going to consider that it's super challenging for most of us to actually find time to connect with God amidst the craziness of life.
Yeah, like there's a battle going on for our time, right? And I think it's a modern battle. It's something, for me, because I'm living it now. But when I read some books, of people who are, and I can't think of somebody right now, but
homesteaders providing for their families, like just trying to
like
make
150 years ago, those authors were saying there was a challenge with time to spend with God.
Right. And I think it is probably, although we're not in survival mode to the same degree, some might say, there is extra bonus distractions. There's a lot more vying for our time.
Yes.
Right? Like, never mind the TV and the telephone and the, and the entertainment.
It's a lot of created things. And we, maybe in the past you spent more time swinging on the porch looking at the sunset, which the creator created, as opposed to TikTok videos.
Maybe that's part of it. So what's the point of this? Like, if it's so difficult, do we just want to talk about how tough it is?
Yeah, I think that it's important. It's important that we realize where we're at, what the struggles are, what the challenges are, so that we can come up with some great, doable steps. Because that connection with God is so important for our relationship, B, the decisions we make, because He affects them all, and then C, how we feel internally, like our emotions and our peace, right? That comes from a connection with God.
It does.
If we're connected to the circumstances of our life, we could be a little hairy and I could be pulling out my hair.
I'm not going to go down the road with any hair jokes. So,
that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's interesting. As you were talking, I was agreeing with you that if I don't find the time, and in the past, when I didn't find the time, I would get more distracted. I would get more thrown off. I would be more chaotic. I would be more stressed. That's a terrible word. I don't like to say that word. I would be more overwhelmed. And then I found I needed to find a way to get recalibrated with God, because then everything runs smoother. And so we tend to, in the midst of the craziness, forget that we even don't even recognize that we've lost our peace. We've lost our way. We don't even know, at least that's what I've noticed, is we don't tend to even see it happening until it's pretty catastrophic. And so you, like me, may be having this conversation now going, she's stuttering all over the place. Yeah, I am. Because that's what it feels like when we're not calibrating daily with God.
Like even this morning, we were getting ready to do the show. And I said to you, you know what? We're feeling a little anxious, a little anxiety, a little bit of, a lot of stuff on our plate. And I said, it's important, especially with the topic of the show. Let's get in our tranquility room and let's do our Devo and meditation and prayer.
Well, okay, so I'm going to confess here, because we do this pretty much every day, where we take time first thing in the morning, normally at 5. If we've stayed up a little late, it may be a little bit later than 5 a.m., but typically 5 to 6 a.m., that's where you're going to find us, or 5 till 6:30 a.m. probably is more the truth, in the tranquility room, or more commonly, that's where we'll be. And we had said, because tomorrow is going to be such a crazy, hairy day with still serving clients, still taking care of the real estate needs, and being in the home studio recording Life's Inside Track, that we would not take the time to connect with God.
We made that decision last night.
We did. Like, I don't really want to confess that, but in the next breath, that's what's been running through my head.
And we woke up this morning knowing better.
Yeah, we did. Well, and we knew better yesterday.
Yeah, but it seemed like a logical thing to do, right? Logic. God's thinking is not our thinking.
So
our
often.
ways are not his ways.
So often. So maybe this is just a reminder for you. When are you maybe making a choice that you know isn't the abiding in God choice, the best choice, the thing that he has for you sits on the other side of time with him? It's such a basic thing, abiding in Christ and being in his presence all the time, right? Such a basic thing. And yet there's something to be said for taking a step back and making dedicated time.
Yeah, and we're going to discuss in the next segment some methods of doing that. And it's important to know that if you're struggling with this, you're not alone. Like even our family, like sometimes they come over and our desire is to do a devotional or talk about God or what's happening in our lives and how God's working. And then I look over and everybody's on the couch on their own device, all on their phone watching what's
You're not allowed
interesting
to rat out
them.
our family.
Well, I just did. Right? I'm just saying we're no different than most people, I think. And that's where most of my lessons come from, is my relationship with you, our relationship with our family, our relationship with our clients. And then when we see something that we go, ooh, that's not really the best, how do I make a change in that? Then I've got to go do some research, do some reading, pick out a book, connect with God. There's all kinds of steps, right? And then we end up on the show talking about it.
I know, confessing the things that go on. And really the point of it isn't because we want you to know everything there is to know about us. I'd really rather keep it all kind of under wraps and keep it a secret. And yet often where I've learned to do the right thing is when I've learned from someone else.
Yeah.
I've learned from their mistakes so that I don't have to make my own. I can maybe relate to what's gone on for them and then be able to pull the learning to myself.
Yeah, and we're a tight-knit family, right? And our kids have spouses and they're connected, they're tight together. There are families out there that have broken apart, that are divorced. And now you've got children, sometimes 1 week at one parent, 1 week at another. They're getting different levels of spiritual teaching or none at all or whatever the situation is, right? And there was a study in 2013 that showed that 35% of children from divorced homes leave their faith or don't believe in God or don't go to church or don't practice religion. And in married couples, it's 23%. So that's a 50% increase in the fall away of children based on whether we're separate or together. And I think that has to do with that. Is there time for that connection with God?
With God.
So I guess the question is, what can be done in the face of this fast-paced world to stay connected with God? Well, stay tuned and we'll give you some suggestions in the next segment. We're honored to be positioning you to build wealth wisely because it's much more than just about money.
Moving forward with the Dekker team. Moving forward together with the Dekker team.